time. Big up to Crawley Eagle coming in with the comments already. So Xavi Simons to Spurs. Yeah, I've seen that. And again, I'm a bit surprised. You know, I thought he was definitely going to Chelsea, but it seems that Tottenham have probably had enough of other teams taking their players, most notably Arsenal. So yeah, I think Tottenham have stolen march really on Chelsea. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I reckon it's probably a case where Xavi Simons is probably looked at him and thought, you know, is he likely to be getting a starting place at Chelsea? That's probably what he's probably thought. But I think him going to Tottenham under Thomas Frank, that's a great move for his career, I believe, you know. And how old is Xavi Simons now? I think Xavi Simons must be about, what, 21, 22, I think. Yeah, I think he's about 22. He must be. So yeah, that's a very good signing for Tottenham. I think personally, I think Paqueta would have been better for them, but I think the fact that Kudus has gone to Tottenham, it's very unlikely that West Ham would have sold them Lucas Paqueta as well. So I think Xavi Simons really, I think, what was it, about 60 mil from what I've heard, or just over 51. You know, it's a decent signing to be fair, and I think Thomas Frank will make him a better player as well. You know, so yeah, it's probably a good signing. You know, can play in the 10, can play obviously from the left as well. So yeah, I think it's a good signing for them. Mainu wants to leave on loan. Yes, I see that last night, and I think what a lot of people are not actually realizing as well, you know, from a couple of other channels that I've seen, is that if you look at Kobbie Mainu, yeah, you know, I'm hearing people say that Kobbie's going to start against Burnley. Kobbie's not starting against Burnley. It's obvious he's not starting against Burnley because Casemiro got no minutes against Grimsby. So Casemiro's definitely starting, and Bruno come off the bench. So Kobbie knows he's not starting against Burnley. And if you actually think about it, there's what, three or 4 days left to the end of the transfer window. So again, he wants to try and get out to get game time, obviously for the World Cup, because he knows the fact that United have been knocked out of the Carabao Cup now, the fact that the manager prefers Bruno Fernandes and has already said that that Kobbie's battling with him. Kobbie's not going to get game time, really. You know, the kind of game time that he would want. So that's why he's trying to push for a loan. And obviously United have come out and I think they've blocked the loan. But it's very obvious that he knows that because until the end of the transfer window, there's one game left, which is against Burnley. And again, he's not starting against Burnley. I can tell you that now he's not starting. 100% he's not starting. So, as I said, man, I think it's a case where he's trying to get a move before the end of the transfer window. And again, United have said that they're blocking all attempts for him to leave on loan. Now, the thing why I think this is a positive move, I would say, on Kobbie's part, is because now it's going to force the club to make a decision with Ruben Amorim. Again, we've been hearing that Amorim is having showdown talks with the club. You know, the club obviously gonna well, in my opinion, as I said, there's no sort of conversation to be had. It should just be, look, Ruben, we brought you in, and unfortunately, you haven't done what we've required. So we're handing your P45. That's all it should be, you know. And as I said, I'm not going to change my mind. You know, Ruben Amorim needs to be out of this club. I wouldn't give him the Burnley game. I wouldn't. But we'll see what happens over next. Well, I think when's the Burnley game? On Sunday. So yeah, I think Friday, Saturday, obviously today and Saturday is going to be crucial. So we'll see what happens. But again, there's an international break coming up. And if he does get the Burnley game, for me, I don't really care if United was to beat Burnley. There should be no sort of, oh, let's keep Amorim. It should never be that. The fact that the international break is coming up, it should be untenable, his position, and he should be gone. So as I said, I can see why Mainu wants to go, because Mainu knows he's not starting, and I think what's happened now with Mainu's kind of forcing the club's hand in a sense with Ruben Amorim. Because if they're saying that he's not going anywhere, and Mainu knows that he's not really going to get game time, you know, he would only get game time once this manager goes. And I think Manu obviously knows that, and I think this is what's going to be pushed for from his team on that side. Because let's face it, this manager doesn't rate Kobe Manu. It doesn't matter what anyone says. When you're saying that he's going to compete with Bruno Fernandes, and he never drops Bruno, that's obvious to say that he's never going to play him. And not to mention as well, you know, the fact that he brought on Bruno to play with Kobe is an insult to fans' intelligence, because you can't come and tell us that Kobe's battling with a place for Bruno, and then all of a sudden, because you're under pressure, you're now going to play Bruno next to Kobe Manu. So again, yeah, it's one of them things where over these next couple of days before the Burnley game, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because, as I said, the showdown talks that's meant to be happening, I'm not sure if it's today or tomorrow. The fact that we're hearing talks about this means that the manager's under pressure. He's under pressure. And the fact of the matter is, when a club is coming out and the reports are coming out saying that he retains the support of Ineos, that means he's on his way out. Because if you retain the support of the board of Ineos, nothing should be said. It should just be like, let's get through to the next game, and we'll see how we get on there. But the fact all this is coming out, it means the manager is actually in trouble. So let's wait and see what happens on that front. Guys, come on, there's 18 of you in there. 2 likes. Let's smash the like button, guys, and sub to the channel as well. Sorry, 25 of you in there. Smash the like button and sub to the channel. Big up Crawley Eagle says, Mourinho wants to manage United again. They are now ready to be back to the top. I will be back. Yeah, not at Man United, though. Rasmus Højlund on the verge, joining Napoli on loan. Yep. And obviously, Garnacho, as the title says, is gone now as well. Finally, as I said, you have to take your hats off to Ineos on that front, because to get Garnacho at the club and to get Rasmus Højlund out as well needed to happen. And again, optimism for Ineos is there for me, man. So again, can we get a midfielder in, Carlos Baleba, before the window shuts? And can they do the main thing and get rid of this manager before the window shuts as well? So, yeah, let's hope these things happen. And it's going to be one to watch for sure, man. But, yeah, Rasmus Højlund going to Napoli on loan with an option to buy. Is it an option or an obligation? I hope it's an obligation, because I don't want this guy coming back nowhere near this club. So, but yeah, good news, man. Good news. And as I said, I'm ecstatic, but let's move on, man. We got bigger things to think about. Gav, just heard reports coming out that players are starting to question Amarim's tactics and man management in the dressing room. But again, you don't need to have reports. Big up to Crawley Eagle. You don't really need to have reports to see what's actually going on. When you've got Kobe's team, who's an academy graduate, when you've got his team and himself coming out wanting to leave on loan, it's letting you know that not everything is rosy in the dressing room. It's not. The fact that the team are not performing, which can be a factor of many things. I believe it's the system, for the formation, the fact that this club has now become a losing team. It's not going to be rosy in the dressing room. That's obvious. So, yeah, I mean, I've heard the reports, but I knew that anyway. It's obvious to see. It's obvious to see, because there's no player that wants to turn up every week and get beat and not enjoy their football. So as I said, it's a matter of time before this manager goes, and rightfully so. I don't care what anyone says, really. Who wants to defend this manager. I'm not here for he hasn't got his players, etc. The players are not good enough. I don't really care about all that. You know what I mean? The facts are, he's meant to be a coach of this team and he's failed. It's as simple as that. 23.5 win ratio, 7 wins since you've come to the club in the league. 15th position last season, lost Europa League final, beaten by Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. Yeah, as I said, man, it's a lot. So let's just hope that Ineos keep doing what's right for the club, because again, Ineos have got a lot of people that are unhappy with some of the things they've done. Me personally, I think it's a positive, and as long as they can keep doing what's necessary, I'm going to keep supporting it, really, and see what happens. So, but again, I want to see Baleba come in. I want to see this manager gone. And I want to see a deal being done for Bruno Fernandes to lead the club. If those things happen, and obviously Hoyen and Garnacho are out now as well, then, yeah, Ineos will have my respect, man. 100%. Big up to Exedra. Big up, bro. Big up for coming through. Agreed, Gav. He hasn't shown he's capable enough. Even from the dumb perspective of wanting to break the cycle, he has already shown he has favourites with the players and inability to adapt to new evidence. And this is his biggest problem. The thing with Ruben Amorim, yeah, is that if Amorim wants to play this system, then that's on him. And if he doesn't want to change his system, again, that's on him. But when he gets sacked, he can't blame anyone, because people are saying he hasn't got his midfielder or his goalkeeper, which is laughable, because if he needs his midfielder or his goalkeeper to get positive results, it already shows he's not a good coach. So why is he here in the first place? These are the kind of things that fans don't ask themselves. If you really need to go and if you really need a goalkeeper and a midfielder to change the fortunes around, it's showing that you're not a good coach or a good manager. So this is why he has to go anyway. So yeah, for me, he's shown a lot already that he isn't the coach or the manager required to take United forward. It's clearly obvious, The only thing he's done really, and I rate him out of a lot of these managers, is that he's got Garnacho and Højlund at the club. Two guys that were fan favourites, but ultimately two players that were never good enough in the first place. So they're the positive things I can see that he's done. But in terms of his ability to adapt to the players he has around him, because I don't care if you've got a philosophy in your mind, and you want to keep playing that philosophy, or that formation or system, at what point do you realise that it's not working and you have to tweak it somewhat? For me, it's not meaning that you're a weak manager by doing that. It's actually being aware that, something's not working, and now I've got to try and adapt to something a bit different. And then by all means, if you wanted to go back to that formation again, then, that's something to think about. But if he wants to keep playing the same formation and getting the same results, what do you expect? What do you expect? And that's the truth of it, really, Faceless Files says, big up, boss. In your shout, get a proper DOF. Bruno should have been sold. 100% agree with that. Yep. Again, we touched on Bruno many times, and the fact that he's still at this club is a joke, really. Let's be honest. But as I said, Ineos for me, if I'm saying out of 10 what they've done so far since coming to the club, you'd have to say it's about a 7. I would say getting Garnacho out, Højlund going out, getting the signings in as well, in Mbeumo, Cunha, etc. For me, for it to go higher than a 7, again, getting Baleba in, if you want to go and get another keeper in, by all means as well. But and of course, sacking the manager. If they don't sack the manager by this international break or before the Burnley game, then I'm going to drop it down, probably to a 5, because there's no way this manager deserves to be here, regardless of what anyone says. If people are being serious with themselves, people that are even fans of Ruben Amorim, they will know that it's unacceptable, and you can't keep blaming the players. It's ridiculous. We know these players, a lot of them are not good enough, but I'm sorry, any manager that comes into this club is not performing the way they are with this team, what Ruben Amorim is. Because this team that United have got now, even though I don't rate a lot of the players, the likes of Bruno, the likes of Mason Mount, the likes of Ugarte, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, even though I don't rate them players highly, Dallo, Anana, even though I don't rate them players highly, Sesko as well, I'll put him in there. It's not, I don't think Sesko's good, but he wasn't my first choice. Even though I don't rate them players highly, they should be performing a lot better than what they are. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact, So again, I'm not really interested in what people have to say in terms of the manager needs his own players, because what you're telling me there is that he's shit, basically. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. Yeah, listen, Crawley, yeah. As I said, obligations do mean nothing. But I don't believe... What was Sancho's one an obligation or was it an option? No, no, that's fact. It was an obligation. Yeah, it was. Yeah, true. I mean, to be fair, with the Rasmus Højlund one, I'm not really concerned, because, as I said, Rasmus Højlund is on his way out, rightfully so, and he's not going to come back because he's just not a good enough striker for Manchester United. As simple as that, you know. So Crawley says, I wouldn't mind Mainu coming to Palace on loan. Yeah, listen. Again, for me, Kobbie Mainoo's not going anywhere. He's not. I think what this whole noise about Kobbie going out on loan is he's forcing really the club's hand to see how much they think of him. It's obvious, because there's 3 days left of the transfer window, 3 or 4 days left of the transfer window. And he knows before the transfer window shuts, he's not starting against... Wait a minute. Wait, Eze's got number 10 at Arsenal. Who was 10 before then? Oh, Emil Smith-Rowe. Ah, look at that. Eze's got 10 at Arsenal. Damn, I forgot about that. Yeah, because Emil Smith-Rowe was number 10, wasn't he, before he left there? Mad. But... yeah, so as I said, Kobbie's not going on loan. He's not. It's just some people will say it's a power play, and I hear that. But what it is that Kobbie Mainoo fully knows that he has 3 or 4 days left of the transfer window, and he's not starting against Burnley. People think he's going to start. He's not starting. As I said, Casemiro didn't get any minutes against Grimsby, and Bruno come off the bench. So it's going to be Bruno and Casemiro in the midfield too again. So Kobbie knows he's not starting, which means that he wants to force the club's hand, whether they let him go on loan or they're going to sack this manager. Because I'll tell you this now, if this manager gets sacked, Kobbie will get game time, because the system will change and you'll get a better Kobbie Mainoo. So he's forcing the club's hand to make a decision on Ruben Amorim. That's what he's doing. So that's why I said yesterday, Ineos, is over to you, because if you make a decision on this manager, it's going to free up the likes of Kobbie. You know, it's going to free up the likes of Xerxes to get more game time as well. Ahmad. So all the best players really will be freed up from this manager. So again, it's a power play. Some people might say it's a power play, but it's clever from his team to try and push the fact that he wants to go on loan. And I do believe he wants to go on loan anyway to get game time. But he knows the club are not going to let him go on loan with the amount of midfielders they have anyway. So it's quite clever. So as I said, these next few days, we're gonna see what Ineos are on, really. Guys, come on, there's 41 of you watching and 3 likes. Smash the like button, guys. Help the channel to get seen by more people. And as always, make sure you sub to the channel. I think I'm about 18 away from 1.5k. So again, if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you sub and smash that like button, guys. Mods, make sure you're encouraging everyone to smash the like button, please. Big up to Shaheen Afridi. Crawley Eagle says, Gav, who has won this transfer window? Who's won the transfer window? I think you'd have to say... Do you know what? It's actually difficult. I'm going to say between Liverpool and I'm going to say between Man City, I think. I think in terms of the players they've brought in, I know Kirkes has been poor. Frimpong's out injured, hasn't been great in his first game. The same with Florian Wirtz. Ekatike has been a very good signing. But them other 3 players, I do believe they will come good. You know, I think just given a bit more time. City, as we know, with Ait Nouri, Cherki and Reinders. Again, 3 very good signings. Yeah, I think personally I can't look past City and Liverpool. I mean, Chelsea, João Pedro, very good signing. Liam Delap, good signing. Who else is there? Gittins, a weird signing. Garnacho is laughable, but again, he's out of my club. And that's pure profit to the club as well, which is good. Arsenal, I mean, apart from Eze, it's the only signing really that I think's been positive, you know, even though it's only going to be a positive one if Eze plays in the 10. Zubamendi's a decent signing, but the physicality, is he going to adapt to that league in that sense? I mean, Newcastle signing Nick Walter-Mada, you know, they've agreed a fee for him. Very, very good player, as we know, was meant to be going to Bayern Munich. You know, if anyone doesn't know as well, he was part of the Germany under-21 squad that got beat by England in the European Championship finals. And again, Newcastle making moves. I think people are going to look at the fact that, you know, is this going to be the deal that's going to get Isak out the club? Again, I still think Newcastle hold all the power. And again, if you're Newcastle, why don't you start saying, okay, we want 160 now? Like, take the piss, really. Because Isak's got 3 years left on his contract. And again, if Isak had about a year left or 2 years left, then I think, you know, Newcastle would be a bit more cautious on that front. But I think the fact that he's got 3 years, and it's quite clear Newcastle don't want to sell him and Isak does want to go. If I'm Newcastle, I'm just saying, look, give us 160 now and see what Liverpool want to do, you know. But yeah, I would say at the moment, Liverpool, Man City have won this transfer window so far. Man United are not far behind, but I think if Man United get Baleba, then I'd have to say, you know, United could be up there as well because, you know, Cunha and Bremo, 2 very good signings. Sesko wasn't top of my list, but if that means Rasmus is gone, then it makes an even better signing. And Baleba's the signing of the summer for me, if he does happen, for so many reasons. So yeah. JT16 says, who would you get in if Ruben Amorim did get sacked? Again, like Iraola, Oliver Glasner. I know Glasner, people say Glasner plays a 3 at the back, but I don't think Glasner comes to United and plays 3 at the back, you know. Who else is there? The Zerbi. Listen, just get me any manager. I don't care what club they're at. I want Zidane. You guys know that I've wanted Zidane ever since he left Real Madrid. You know, Xavi. Go and get me a manager that wants to play the best footballers. That's what I want to see. I don't care who it is, yeah? If any manager that has credentials and wants to play the best players, ultimately we're going to see better football and we're going to see better results. It's as simple as that. There's no denying the fact that Manchester United over the last few seasons, the managers that they've had, Ruben Amorim and Erik ten Hag, are allergic to playing good footballers. So all I ask is a manager to come in and play the best players, i.e. Ahmad, i.e. in the attacking positions, i.e. Ahmad, Xerxes, Mbeumo, Cunha, Kobe Mainu. That's it. You know, it's not too much to ask for. Get the best players on the pitch and keep it moving. Simple. The real Chucky says, I don't think Kobe will leave. It is a power play to see where he stands. Big up to real Chucky, 100%. I agree. I'm not. I mean, people say it's a power play. I'm gonna say it's a clever move. I would say from his team. And as I said earlier, Kobe knows the club are not gonna let him leave on loan. You know, even though he does want to go on loan to get game time, but he's letting the club know you've got a decision to make with this manager because this manager is not gonna play him. In his words, he's competing with Bruno. This manager's not gonna play him above Bruno. And guys, as I said already, yeah, the only reason Bruno Fernandes played with Kobe Mainu in the midfield too is because it was against Grimsby Town. I can assure you this right now. He will never play those 2 players against the majority of the teams in the Premier League. So again, the manager thinks he's smart, but he's not. So as I said, it's clever from his team, from Kobe Mainu's team, and it's one of them things that he's forcing the club to make a decision on Ruben Amorim. And I believe next couple of days we're going to get some clarity, you know. So, yeah. So Crawley Eagle says, who's this new Newcastle striker? 80 million. I've never heard of him. Yeah, that's Nick Walter-Marder. Very good player from Stuttgart. So yeah, Newcastle have agreed a 65 million, 64 million, I think it was, pound bid deal for Walter-Marder from Stuttgart. Yeah, he's a very good player, man. Very good player. So again, he played in the European Under-21 Championships for Germany. That got beat in the final by England. And again, was rumoured to be going to Bayern Munich. But I think Bayern Munich were trying to get him for less money. And Newcastle, very clever, really, what they've done. They've just come in, knowing that they can offer the money. And they've got a very good striker there. So whether he's going to be the Callum Wilson replacement or the Isak replacement, they've got a very good striker there for the future. You know, he's tall. You know, he's got a great touch. You know, he's aggressive as well. Very good technically. You know, he's a decent dribbler as well. So yeah, he's gonna. And the thing is, it's a clever signing by Newcastle because Newcastle, as we know, got very passionate fans, and the way Walter-Marder plays, he's gonna fit right into that kind of way that the fans like. So it's a very good signing, very smart signing. May Edit says, why does Man United always destroy their good players? As a Man United fan, I'm pretty disappointed with Amorim. It's quite obvious, really. It's quite obvious because the fan base have a massive part in this, you know, because the fan base have too much down the years, have always pivoted towards players that run around, that work hard, you know, and this is the problem, you know, like every player on that pitch has some sort of work rate on there. Every player, you know, they've had to have some sort of work rate to get to the level that they've got to, a lot of them, yeah. But what it is that the fans can only relate really. A lot of fans can only relate really to players that are seen as tryhards. You know, that's the problem. And there's been too many tryhards in this Man United lineup, which is why it's a big problem on the pitch, because Man United are never going to play good football as long as they've got a lot of tryhards on the pitch. You need better football players. I can guarantee you this now. If Man United had the best football players on the pitch, half of the discontent amongst the fan base wouldn't be there, because they'll be seeing better football, and in theory, the results will come. But Ten Hag, Amorim, you know, even Mourinho when he was here, these guys don't want to play the best footballers because, you know, the way that these managers operate, they're more interested in athletes, you know, getting around the pitch. And again, it's been a big problem, really. So it should be about quality first and foremost, and then these things will sort themselves out, you know. So when's the last time a player came through the academy and became world class? What is that? Any academy or Man United's academy, Crawley? So Man United's academy, the last player to come through the academy, you would say that became world class, you'd have to say Paul Pogba, because I know Pogba was bought obviously from Le Havre in France, and then obviously left the club to go to Juventus and come back. You know, so if we're talking technically coming straight through the academy and not going elsewhere, there hasn't really been one of recent note. You could say there hasn't been one. You're having to go back to the likes of Beckham, you know, and Ryan Giggs and guys like that, really. So Dan Ezzy says, who's that striker? Never heard of him. Oh, that's Walter-Marder, yeah. Nick Walter-Marder. It just says, any manager that plays the best players / the best performing players will be welcome, in my opinion. Yeah, listen, it should always be that. It should always be that. You know, and this is why, if I look at Xavi and I look at Zinedine Zidane, who are available, the reason I would pivot towards both of them managers is because if you look at them as managers, them as players, they were players of the highest technical order. So we can only expect them to be coming in and playing players that are of the highest technical order. So this is why it's a good step. if you look at Ruben Amorim, for instance, yeah, the kind of player that Amorim was, he wasn't a technician. He was a workaholic midfielder. So, again, he's going to be looking at players that are a bit more reminiscent of how he played. You know, the same with, I'm not sure what Ten Hag's career was in football, but just go and get me a manager that, like a Zidane, like a Xavi, you know, that was more about being a ball player. Because in theory, they should be picking the ball players. That's it, you know, and that's what I want to see now. Big up to Daniela, big up to Barbara Joseph, each and every time. Big up to Lumi as well. So Vodja, also the question before was name a player that's become world class. Vodja says McTominay. Yeah, let's skip that one. Let's skip that one. Yeah, but guys, we're gonna move on to the Champions League draw. So obviously, Champions League draw come out yesterday, and obviously all 6 of the English Premier League teams. You know, we're gonna go through the fixtures, and we're gonna go through how I see a lot of these games going as well. So Man City have got Borussia Dortmund at home, Real Madrid away, Bayer Leverkusen at home, Villarreal away, Napoli at home, Bodo Glimt away, Galatasaray at home, and AS Monaco away. So Man City obviously had a bit of a indifferent. Oh, sorry, guys, just see the England squad. Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton called up to the England squad. You know what? Thoroughly deserved, man. Elliot Anderson was one of England's best players in the European Under-21 Championships. Has had a very good season last season for Nottingham Forest. Adam Wharton, for me, was a no-brainer, you know. And you know what? Those 2 players thoroughly deserve their place in the England team. Now the thing is, guys, the reason I've just switched to that right now is because if you're going to call up Anderson and Wharton, is it a friendly or a qualifier? Because if it's a friendly, I want to see these 2 players get game time, because it's going to make it a massive problem in how certain players in that England team, if they're going to get shoehorned in, i.e. Jude Bellingham. Because if you're going to play Wharton and Anderson as 2 central midfielders, and you've got a lot of 10s in the squad anyway, you know, is he going to keep shoehorning Jude Bellingham into the team? So, but yeah, listen, going back to what we're saying. So, City first game against Borussia Dortmund, you know, at home. I think City have had a bit of an up and down season so far. I mean, it's only been 2 games. 4-0 against Wolves, but lost 2-0 against Tottenham. I do expect City to definitely win the league for me personally. But I think against Dortmund, I'm going to say I expect City to win that. You know, I know Dortmund have got a few threats in their team. Serhou Guirassy gets goals for them. Karim Adeyemi with his pace on the flanks as well. They've lost Bino Gittins. I'm not sure who they've replaced him with. But, yeah, I think City should do well against Dortmund, personally. Real Madrid away, as we know, you know, is probably one of the ties of the group phase. You know, I think City have played Madrid quite a few times over the last couple of seasons as well. And I think City, for me, Real Madrid, I'm not sure how that's going to go. You know, I think a draw might be more of the ideal result that a lot of people might say. I think how Xabi Alonso is going to set this team up is going to be interesting because, as I said, against the best teams, can he afford to play Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe together? You know, because you're going to have 2 players that are going to be, you know, most of the times behind the ball. You know, so, yeah, I'm not sure how he sets up, you know. Something might need to give. But I think I'm going to go for a draw that one. Bayer Leverkusen at home. Again, against Erik ten Hag. I don't rate him as a manager. And I expect City to win that one at home. I think, obviously, as we know, Leverkusen have lost Florian Wirtz. Hincapié looks like he's going to Arsenal. They've lost the manager, Xabi Alonso, Jeremy Frimpong, Granit Xhaka, Jonathan Tah. So yeah, the majority of their team's been broken up. You know, they've lost literally the bulk of their key players. Victor Boniface was meant to be going to AC Milan, but I think he stayed there. But again, I do expect them to beat Bayern Leverkusen. I know Leverkusen have brought in a few players as well, but I do expect City to have too much for Bayern Leverkusen. Villarreal, that'll be a tough game away from home for City. Villarreal got some good players, man. Nicolas Pepe, you know, doing his thing. Who else they got there? Nicolas Pepe. I think Chuck Wazy might be going to... Who did I see Chuck Wazy was going to? Chuck Wazy and someone else. I can't remember who it was. But who else they got? Nicolas Pepe. Guys, who else is on Villarreal's team? I forgot. They got Nicolas Pepe and there's someone else there. I can't remember. But yeah, as I said, yeah, that'll be a tough game at El Madrigal for Man City. Napoli at home, you know, obviously Napoli winning the Scudetto, Serie A. You know, Kevin De Bruyne there now on a free. Big up to Emily Rowe, big up to Rinser as well. You think of Kevin De Bruyne, you think of, I'm not even going to say his name, so we're going to bypass that. Two of them, if he goes there as well. But yeah, I think Napoli, you know, that'll be a tough game on Antonio Conte. And again, Conte is going to set them up in a way which is going to be trying to stifle Man City, you know. And then they've got, obviously, Lukaku's out injured, but I think you'd expect Lukaku, by the time that game comes around, he could be fit. So yeah, I think that'll be a difficult game. I mean, Bodo Glimt, I mean, don't know too much about them, but away from home, you'd expect Man City to have way too much for them. Galatasaray at home, you know, Galatasaray always have some players with Premier League experience, you know, but City at home, you'd expect them to dispatch them. It won't be easy, I don't think, but you expect City to win that. And then you got AS Monaco with the likes of Paul Pogba, Ansu Fati, you know, Lamine Camara, Ben Seguir. They've got some very, very good players, man. And that's a game that I'm definitely going to watch to see what Paul Pogba's on, you know, because this is a guy for me that is massive, man. Is a massive player, and hopefully he gets back to the levels that we know he can. Guys, bear me 1 minute. I'm trying to see the squad, England squad, against Andorra and Serbia. I want to see some changes. So, Dean Henderson in goal. The goalkeepers, Dean Henderson, Pickford, Trafford. Yeah, no surprises there. Dan Burn retains his place. Mark Guehi, Reece James, Ezri Konsa, Lewis Skelly, Livramento. Jed Spence is in there. I'm happy with that. And John Stones. Jed Spence, man. I'm glad to see Jed Spence getting his game time. Elliot Anderson in midfield. Morgan Gibbs-White. Jordan Henderson. Declan Rice. Morgan Rogers. Adam Walton. Why is Jordan Henderson in there again? Forwards, Jared Bowen, Eberechi Eze, Anthony Gordon, Harry Kane, Noni Madueke, Marcus Rashford, Ollie Watkins. You know what? I don't know about this England team, to be fair, man. Yeah, I just don't know, man. Noni Madueke. Madness. Just going through some of your comments, guys. Big up. So Rinser says, since Mrs. Pep left Pep, he's lost his touch. Remember when man scratched up his head like a madman? Yeah, but he's back with his Mrs. now. So yeah, I remember that when he was going through a bit of a difficult time. But yeah, no, Pep and his wife, they're back together now. So I think Pep might be back on the madness. I know the Tottenham game would have been a bit of a shock, but yeah, I still expect City to be one of the teams to beat in this league for sure at the end of the season. Niche fan says, what should our England midfield be? Well, if England are going to play with a number 10 and you want two midfielders in there, Adam Wharton has to be one of the midfielders because he's press resistant and he's someone that can dictate the tempo of a game. And then next to him, I'd like to see a Kobe Minu next to him, if I'm honest. Elliot Anderson, you know, he's had a very good season last season for Nottingham Forest, and he's a very good player. So yeah, Kobe Minu, Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton midfield. I'm happy with that. Or I mean, Declan Rice is going to be in there. So, but again, Declan Rice and an Adam Wharton midfield, is that good? I think it can be better. But yeah, I just want to see Adam Wharton, you know, be a mainstay in that midfield. And, you know, for me, Kobe Mino, that would be a very, very good midfield, man, for me. That would be a very good midfield. So, Lumi reckons City should win at least 5 of those games. Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at their home fixtures, Dortmund, Leverkusen, Napoli, Galatasaray, I'd expect 4 wins out of that. I think the toughest game at home, for me, would probably be the Napoli game, because of the way Antonio Conte sets up. But I think those 4 games at home, they should win that. Away from home, I think against the Spanish opposition of Real Madrid and Villarreal, I think that'll be tough. Definitely, that'll be tough. Bodo Glimt, they should beat them. Monaco, you know, I think Monaco have the quality to upset them, especially with the likes of Paul Pogba and Ansu Fati there as well. And I'll be watching Monaco very closely this season as well. So, yeah, I think that's not too hard to say City should be doing that personally, you know. Loomis says Harvey Elliott will want to be in the World Cup squad. Yeah, I mean, I'm confident that Harvey Elliott won't be in the World Cup squad, and that isn't because Harvey Elliott isn't a good player. I think if you look at the competition for places where Harvey Elliott's going to play, you know, he's not going to be given the opportunity, unfortunately. So, but he is a good player, but he's not going to get in the England World Cup squad. I can tell you that now. The only way he gets into the World Cup squad is if he's a regular player for Liverpool and he has mad GA. But other than that, he won't be in the squad for the World Cup. Let's move on. Liverpool fixtures, obviously at home to Real Madrid, away to Inter Milan, at home to Atletico Madrid, away to Eintracht Frankfurt, at home to PSV, away to Marseille, and then home tie against Qarabag, and away to Galatasaray. And I think, again, the first one that stands out is the home tie against Real Madrid. You know, Trent coming back to Anfield. Again, will Trent start? You know, I don't think he starts. I think Danny Carvajal, if he stays fit, I think Carvajal will be the first choice right back. But again, I think with Liverpool, the way they've started, I don't think Liverpool have actually started that well, if I'm honest. I think they've got 2 wins out of 2. And I think you'd have to say, you know, this is what Liverpool are doing at the moment. You know, not playing well, but getting over the line in the end. Obviously, as we know, Rio with a great finish against Newcastle. But yeah, against Real Madrid at home, I think, I think the last game they played against Real Madrid, I think they actually beat them, funny enough. But I think, yeah, against Real Madrid at home, that would be a tough game. You know, that could easily be a draw, or it could be a Liverpool win. Do I see Real Madrid coming away from home and beating Liverpool at Anfield? I mean, they've got the ability to do that, but again, Xabi Alonso going back to one of his former clubs as well that he played with. So I'm going to say that game could be a draw, but I think that Anfield crowd, Champions League nights as well, might get them over the line. But I think I'm going to say a draw, but again, it could be either team win, really, who knows. Inter Milan away, that would be difficult, as we know, at the San Siro. Christian Chivu, obviously their manager now. I'm not really seeing much of Inter. I'm not sure how Inter play at the moment, but I think with Inter, as we know, Italian teams very good defensively. They're going to set up in a way to kind of stifle Liverpool. So yeah, I think away from home, You know, I could possibly see away from home. You know, Liverpool getting a draw as well away from home. Atletico Madrid at home. Again, as we know, Diego Simeone's teams are very good defensively. Attacking wise, you know, Julian Alvarez. I think Griezmann's, Anton Griezmann's still there. Alexander Sorloth, formerly of Crystal Palace. Who else they brought in? I think, they got Alex Baena as well. Very good player. Yeah, I think that'd be a tough game for Liverpool at home. But I think Liverpool at home, they should be confident of winning that one, I would say. Eintracht Frankfurt away. You know, I mean, Frankfurt have been decimated by the losses of, over the years of, you know, even if you look at Kolo Muani, Marmoush, Ekatike, you know, yeah, I mean, away from home, I think against German teams away from home, you know, I think Liverpool over the years have been quite decent against them, I think. But, yeah, I expect them to win that away from home. PSV at home, home win for me. Marseille away, that'll be tough. I think the Marseille game will be tough. And then Qarabag at home, yeah, they should win that. And then Galatasaray away. I think there's 2 games away there against Marseille and against Galatasaray, where, as we know, you know, their fans are proper passionate fans, and that'll be difficult away from home. So if Liverpool win or get a point away from home against both them teams, then Liverpool would have done well. So yeah, I think out of them games there, I think it's safe to say I expect Liverpool to... I'm going to say the same as City. I think they should get at least 4 wins there. I think Frankfurt, PSV, Qarabag and Galatasaray, for me, are the games they should be looking at as getting the wins. Against Marseille away, Atletico Madrid at home, Inter away and Real Madrid at home, I think they're games that could be in the balance, you know. So, yeah, they'll be quite difficult for me, for Liverpool, you know. Big up to Exploding Godzilla. Great name. Big up, man, for coming on. Guys, come on, make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel. Big up. Crawley Eagle says, Madueke, Henderson and Rashford shouldn't be in that squad. Yeah, listen, is Rashford in the squad as well? I'm not sure if I even read his name out. But yeah, Henderson being in there after he's been injured doesn't make sense. Saka's out injured. Big up to Gag Addict as well for coming through. Says Salah brace against Galatasaray. You'd hope so. Yeah, that England squad for me. I mean, Thomas Tuchel as well. Yeah, he does pick odd selections, man. So, again, I don't really care when they play against the likes of Andorra and Serbia. You know, I want to see them play against France, Spain, Germany, Portugal, Holland, Brazil, Argentina, Belgium. You know, who else have I missed out? Did I say Spain? I said Spain already. I want to see England against those kind of countries, you know, because this is where this is where the test comes for them, you know. Moving on, Tottenham, Borussia Dortmund at home, PSG away, Villarreal at home, Eintracht Frankfurt away, Slavia Prague at home, Bodo Glimt away, Copenhagen at home, and AS Monaco away. So for me, I think under Thomas Frank, to be honest with you, man, as I said, I keep saying this, he's a very good manager. And I do believe in Europe, he's going to make them a tough team to beat. Obviously, as we know, they've just agreed a deal for Xavi Simons, which will help, you know, with the creativity in their team. Yeah, Rashford is in there. I wonder if they go out and still buy another player, you know, or is that their business done? But, yeah, as I said, man, I think they've got a top manager there in Thomas Frank. The wins I can see coming for Tottenham in these fixtures, I think the games against Slavia Prague and Bodo Glimt, you'd have to say Tottenham will be targeting them games to win. Copenhagen at home as well is another game, you know, they'll be looking at as a game they should be winning. Dortmund at home, PSG away. As we know against PSG, they should have won that Super Cup. But again, PSG coming back and winning on penalties. But I think Dortmund, PSG, Villarreal, Eintracht Frankfurt, AS Monaco, I think they'll all be tough games for Tottenham. But I think definitely out of them games there, they should be getting some wins there, 100%. You know, Dortmund at home, their first game will be interesting. PSG away will be tough, you know, but they've shown in the Super Cup that they can compete against PSG. And yeah, Frankfurt away would be a tough game. Monaco away will be a tough game, you know. Villarreal at home. Again, that won't be easy. But I think Tottenham should at least get, for me, if they can get the 3 wins against Copenhagen, Bodo Glimt and Slavia Prague, and then pick up points against the other teams, that'll be decent for them, I reckon. That'll be decent. Lumi says Jay's ducking this live because he knows he's not getting out the group stage. Yeah, big up Lumi. Yeah, listen. To be fair, I ain't seen Jay for a little while. Where's he been hiding? Where's he been hiding? Nah, but big up to Jay, man. Anyway, May Edit says kind of random, but do you reckon Messi will retire after the World Cup? And there are rumours that his last game is September 4th, but I don't know if that's in general, just national team. Yeah, listen, I think, and I could be wrong. You know, I reckon that it could be Neymar and Messi's and Ronaldo, possibly. I think after this World Cup, I think all 3 of them might hang up their boots. You know, I don't think it's far off saying that. I think all 3 of them could eventually just say, you know what, our career's coming to an end now. And again, we're talking about 3 of the greatest players ever. You know, or 3 of the biggest names to play in football. So yeah, it's not a bad shout. You know, I mean, look at Messi. What's Messi got left to prove? You know, what has he really got left to prove? He's won literally everything in the game. You know, one of the game's greatest ever players, if not the greatest. Cristiano Ronaldo, another one. Someone that, again, hasn't won a World Cup, but for what he's done in football, you know, yeah, these guys, and the same with Neymar, man. What a player Neymar is. I think these guys have maximised their potential in football. So they've maximised their careers. So they ain't really got nothing to prove. So I reckon the World Cup, you know, I think all 3 of them will be there as well. And I think it could be like a swan song for all 3 of them to see out their careers, man. And what careers it's been as well. Moving on, guys. Chelsea. Barcelona at home. Bayern Munich away. Benfica at home. Atalanta away. Ajax at home. Napoli away. Pafos at home. And Qarabag away. For me, to start off against Barca and Bayern Munich as your first 2 games, you know, is going to be difficult. Barcelona at home. Bayern Munich away. I think, personally, Chelsea will do well. They will do well to, you know, I mean, if Chelsea was to get 4 points out of them 2 games, I think you have to say that's good from Chelsea. But I think that's a tough start because Barcelona at home won't be easy, you know. And again, what's mad is that Barca and Chelsea have history from before. You know, if you look at the previous Champions League games where Drogba went off when Iniesta scored the winner, you know. Then you had the Ronaldinho, the goal that he scored, where Petr Cech didn't move, but then Chelsea ended up winning the game. So again, yeah, listen, there's some great ties there. I think if I'm looking at Chelsea, I think the games they'll be targeting to win will be the Benfica game at home, Pafos and Qarabag definitely. Ajax as well, they should win that. Napoli away will be difficult. Again, Antonio Conte against his former club. Atalanta, another Italian team away, will be tough. And then you've got the Bayern and Barca, as we know. So yeah, they're gonna have a tough run, I believe. But I think there's games there that they'll be looking at as definite wins. But to start off against Barca and Bayern won't be easy, you know. So yeah, that'll be difficult. But I'm looking at, for Chelsea, at least, again, 4 wins. And if they can pick up points away from home against Napoli, because that won't be easy. you know, you'd have to say that's actually decent doing. So, yeah, I think I reckon that's what's gonna happen, man. Big up to Jazz. Jazz says, I think we will do all right, to be honest. Can't wait for the campaign to start. That first game against Barca is gonna be cinema, I think. Yeah, that'll be a great game, Barca and Chelsea. I mean, you think of Yamal, Pedri, you know, Lewandowski, Rafinha, obviously Rashford coming back to England as well. You know, Frankie De Jong, Ronald Arroyo, Balde, Koundé. You know, and obviously Chelsea with their players as well. Yeah, that's gonna be a great game, man. I mean, that battle between Moises Caicedo and Frankie De Jong, if he's playing, would be good as well. Pedri in there. You know, who's going to be playing in midfield? Is it going to be Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer in there against Pedri, Frankie De Jong? You know, who knows, man? Who knows will be in there? But that's going to be a great game, man. That'd be a great game. Lumi reckons Chelsea will get found out. Who knows, man? Who knows? I think Chelsea might surprise a few teams this season. You know, the way that they beat PSG in that Club World Cup final shouldn't go underestimated, because yeah, that was a convincing win, man. So yeah, they're definitely gonna fancy their chances. What a random question. Not me says, do you like Thai food? I do. I do. Make sure you're subbing to the channel though, not me, and you can send me over some Thai food, man. So yeah, I think Chelsea will do okay and will do well in this group, but there's no doubting, man. That's a tough start, you know. Moving on to Arsenal. So Arsenal got Bayern Munich at home, Inter away, Atletico Madrid at home, Club Brugge away, Olympiacos at home, Kairat Almaty at home, and Athletic Bilbao away. So I mean, Kairat Almaty, I mean, they're not their team I've not really heard of, to be honest. I think Arsenal will be looking at those two teams in Slavia Prague and Kairat Almaty as a 6 points minimum. I think where Arsenal are gonna, I think, struggle, or they'll have a test, is the first 3 games in the Champions League, because Bayern, Inter, and Atletico Madrid are not easy. You know, they've got 2 teams there that are defensively tough to break down. And again, against Bayern Munich at home, you know, that's going to be a game that could go either way. So I think they're going to start off difficult, but then in the end, I think the run-in towards the end, you know, Club Brugge, Olympiacos, Slavia Prague, Kairat Almaty, you'd expect Arsenal to pick up maximum points, if we're being honest, you know. And then Athletic Bilbao away, which will be tough, but again, you'd expect Arsenal to pick up a point there. So, yeah, I think there could be some potential banana skins in there, but I think, to be fair, if we're being serious, Arsenal should be looking at, you know, getting through this phase, and it's not going to be easy. But if you're an Arsenal fan, and I know I've got one in there at the moment in Lumi, let me know how many points are you expecting from those 8 fixtures for Arsenal? Bayern Munich, Inter, Atletico Madrid, Club Brugge, Olympiacos, Slavia Prague, Kairat Almaty, and Athletic Bilbao. Because I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking Arsenal should be getting... I'm going to say Arsenal should be aiming for about 15 points. I think 15 points from them 8 games is what they should be aiming for. And I'm saying they should be beating Club Brugge, Olympiacos, Slavia Prague, Kairat Almaty. A point against Bilbao, I would say, away from home, or against Inter. And then, you know, there might be a loss between Bayern or Atletico, who knows. But I think 15 points minimum is what Arsenal should be aiming for me. I don't think that's too much to ask for, really. Jazz says, I think we will, yes. And also another reason why I don't think we're ready to really challenge for the title yet is the goalkeeper situation. Laugh out loud. Never winning the league without a world-class keeper, in my opinion. Yeah, but listen, Chelsea will be up there, and it's quite obvious that this manager rates Robert Sanchez highly. So again, we're gonna find out. You know, I'm surprised they're not in the ring for Donnarumma, but again, a lot of it from what I've been hearing is because of they don't want to stunt the likes of Mike Penders in the future. But yeah, I mean, spending 40 mil on Garnacho is an absolute joke. But again, you're giving us 40 mil, so I'm happy. So, but yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy work, really. It has to be said. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens, you know. Moving on, last team, Newcastle. As I said, Nick Walter-Marder agreed a deal, so he's gonna help with their attack, improve their attack. Imagine if they actually keep Isak as well. You know, Isak and Walter-Marder as the two strikers. You know, that's not bad. You know, that's not bad. But Newcastle got Barca at home, PSG away, Benfica at home, Bayer Leverkusen away, PSV Eindhoven at home, Marseille away, Athletic Bilbao at home, and then Union St. Gilloise away. So again, I think first off, Newcastle will be aiming for the Union St. Gilloise game. As I mean, to be fair, they're all games there that are going to be quite tough. Barca at home won't be easy, you know, as just like Chelsea as well. I mean, PSG away, I think they might look at PSG as the game where it's a revenge game. Because let's face it, man, they should have beaten PSG when Mbappe dived for that penalty. Benfica at home, you know, you expect Newcastle to get points there. Leverkusen away against Erik ten Hag. You know, Eddie Howe be fancying his chances there. PSV at home, you know, should be a win. Again, I think anyone playing Marseille away won't be an easy game. Bilbao at home and then Union St. Gilloise. So, you know what? I think on the whole, that is like 8 tough games for Newcastle, I would say. I think the wins that Newcastle, I think they could pick up. Benfica. Possibly Bayer Leverkusen. PSV. Union St. Gilloise. I think Bilbao will be tough. Marseille, I think, will be tough. Barcelona, as we know, and PSG. And again, just like Arsenal and Chelsea, really, you know, they're starting off against 2 tough teams. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult, man. But I think all the English teams there, you know, they will be fancying their chances to get into the latter stages, you know, but it's not going to be easy. That's what I will say, you know. Guys, big up. Make sure you smash the like button. There's 20 of you in there, 18 likes. Smash the like button, guys, and sub to the channel as well. As I said, I'm only about 18 away from 1.5k. So, yeah, make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel. Jazz says 100% Arsenal are much stronger. I still think we will win silverware again before then, though. Big up to DXR. Big up, bro, for coming through. Yeah, listen, Garnacho gone, man. Thank God for that. Yeah, thank God for that, man. As I said, man, you know, this window for me, right now as it stands, under Ineos, I'm going to say it's a 7, you know. If Baleba gets over the line and Ruben Amorim is sacked, because Garnacho's gone, Højlund's going, they get a keeper in, and they get Baleba and Amorim goes, then I'll be like, do you know what? 9 out of 10, you know. I'll be confident of saying that. But until that's happened, yeah, I'm going to say it's a 7 for what I'm seeing right now. Yeah. Right, guys, we're going to go for another 5 minutes, and then we're going to wrap up. So if you guys got any questions, make sure you get your questions in. Chelsea have a baller in Garnacho. Give him a 10-year contract at 150. Yeah, listen. Big up Chelsea, man. You saved us. Put it that way. You saved us. Gav, do you play Anthony and Sancho if they don't find moves? You know what, Lumi, I'm glad you've asked this question, because no one's actually asked that. And the answer to that is 100%. I would. One if and again, I don't think Sancho goes. I think out of the two, I think Anthony's most likely to go, but I don't think Sancho goes anywhere. And I'm sorry, he has to be reintegrated back into the line, into the team. He does. I know he's on a big contract, but if you're getting rid of players, you're getting money for, the likes of Garnacho, Højlund off the wage bill as well. Just bring Sancho back, man. He's got quality. And again, if you change the formation once his manager gets sacked, Sancho will look better under a manager that wants to play football. So yeah, listen, I'll definitely play Sancho. I think Anthony's one's a bit different because you've got Ahmad, you've got Mbeumo, and it'll be difficult for Anthony to get game time. So if Anthony does go, I'm not too dissatisfied really because he's on a high wage. And again, when you've got the likes of Ahmad and Brian Mbeumo on that side where he can play, I think it's not too bad to get rid of him really. Sancho's one's different for me because Sancho will slot into this team. He will, he'll slot into this team. Having him and Cunha for me as two left wingers in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. So, and as I said, I don't think Sancho goes. I don't think he goes. Because we got 3 days left until the end of the window, 3-4 days left. What are we on now? Oh, sorry, we're on Friday. So yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, we've got 4 days. I don't really want to count Monday because that's the day it shuts. So do I believe Sancho goes? I don't know. I think for Sancho, if he does move, it's only going to be on a loan anyway because he'll be dumb to go on a permanent because obviously he's got 1 year left after this. So yeah. Yeah, DXR, bro. Chelsea sold Madueke and got Garnacho. Yeah, I mean, that's criminal, really. Let's be honest. That's criminal. That is criminal. Yeah, big up to Jazz. Big up. And DXR, man. Big up. So Srijan says, Garnacho, he's only 40 million because of his garbage attitude. I mean, I don't think he's 40 million just because of his attitude. I think the ability of the player is not there. So, do you know what I mean? I'm just glad he's at the club now. I'm just glad he's out. Big up to Random Football Clips as well for coming through. So Lumi says, Garnacho will be one of those players that never fulfill their potential. But again, Lumi, what's this potential that Garnacho has? Because for me, the fact that people think that he's a star in the making or he has a lot of potential, I question these people, the kind of players that they've seen. Because I've seen so much football, and there's no one that's going to tell me that this Garnacho is a good player, because he's not. I think what it is that he's got good PR from the media, and they think he's this some sort of superstar in the making, when he's not. You know what I mean? I'll keep telling you guys this. He's the worst player to come into the first team from the academy, because I look at the likes of, I'm not even going to go back to the likes of Beckham and Giggs and Neville and Scholes and that. I look at more recent times. Look at who's come through the youth that has made appearances for Man United's first team. That are obviously not here now or are still here. And Garnacho's not better than either one of them. He's not better than Paul Pogba, Angel Gomez, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard, even the likes of Giuseppe Rossi, Lee Martin, who was in there, Kobe Mainu, Federico Makeda, Chris Eagles, like all these players that come through the youth into the first team, they're all better than Garnacho. So I'm not quite sure about this potential. He's just been hyped up by this fan base that really have a lack of knowledge on football. that's the honest truth. Because those names I've mentioned, not one of them can tell me that Garnacho is better than any one of them, because he's not. So so Lumi says, I'm not a big fan of Madueke, but I'd rather have him over Garnacho. I mean, to be honest with you, I think we're just battling over different shades of shit, really. I mean, I don't rate both of them. And to think that one's gone for 40, one's gone for 52 million, yeah. Laughable. Laughable. Sterling and Chilwell are struggling to find moves. Is because they're on massive money. I mean, Raheem Sterling is their highest paid player, Chelsea, still, on 300 grand a week. Ben Chilwell is on 200 grand a week. So those two players there are nicking 500 grand a week at Chelsea. Whoever put them on contracts should have been sacked. Because that is criminal. To have those two players on 500 grand a week between them. Just like Man United have Mason Mount on 250 and Luke Shaw on 190. You know, it's ridiculous. Sridjan says, Ten Hag redemption arc incoming. Nah, not for me, man. Ten Hag was poor. He was poor. Yeah, Ten Hag was poor. But to think that Amorim's worse than him, yeah, who would have thought that? Yeah, Lumi, I knew you'd say that. Mount is worth it, yeah. Yeah, he's worth 250, yeah? And number 7 on his back. He's got a long way to go, man, to prove that he's worth even half that, to be honest with you. Because Dino the Lion says United are finished. I mean, to be honest with you, yeah, listen. It's not really surprising to go and say that. But again, United have, what, 3 or 4 days before the window shuts to do something with the manager and getting in Baleba. If those two things happen, then listen, I'm here for it. Yeah, Srijan, Amorim is worse than Ten Hag. He is worse than Ten Hag. I'd argue that of anyone. I thought Ten Hag was an absolute joke, and he's probably one of the worst managers. This Ruben Amorim has been the worst manager Man United have had. He's been worse than Moyes. He has, definitely. And he's been worse than Ten Hag. So, he is worse. There's nothing to do with his confidence. He just ain't a great coach or a great manager. He's not. You know? His ability to not adapt to the players that he has and to be so stubborn is what's going to get him the sack. Because I understand if you want to play your formation, your system, but at what point are you going to realise that maybe it's not working? And as a top coach that I'm meant to be, maybe I try and adapt something or try and change something, even if it was for one game. But he's not going to do that, as we know. So this is why he's going to fall on his sword, unfortunately. And his reluctance to drop Bruno Fernandes and Dalot, you know, is what's going to be his downfall in the end. Dino says, who do you think will win the league? So, again, I had Liverpool as the slight favourites, just above Man City for me. Having seen the season so far, I think City, I know City got beat by Tottenham, but City for me are going to be the team to beat, I believe. I think Liverpool will be up there, no doubt, but I think Liverpool are going to come unstuck in a few games, you know, and again, the big game on Sunday, Liverpool versus Arsenal, you know, I'll be looking forward to that game. But yeah, as I said, man, I think City will be the team to beat, definitely. Dino says, I hope Burnley gets something. Listen, I mean, as a Man United fan, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we'll beat Burnley. I'm not going to tell you that because I just don't know. Will this manager be given the Burnley game? Who knows, man? Who knows? I mean, even if he is given the Burnley game and he beats Burnley, he still has to be sacked for me. The real Chucky says, season so far, it's only 2 games in. Yeah, I know that, but who are you referring to? Is that Man United or is that Liverpool or Man City? The real Chucky. Don't know what happened there. Bamford's a free agent. The way Sesko started, you should snap him up. Yeah, yeah, funny, Lumi. Yeah, funny. Listen, I think you've got an injury to Kai Havertz at the moment, yeah, and you need a left-footed striker. So maybe Bamford might be the guy for you guys. You know, Havertz is out injured. You've only got Gyökeres. Jesus is you got to get up to speed as well. Left-footed striker. Yeah, listen, I think you guys might need Bamford more than us, to be honest. So the real trucky things, United will get top four. They might get top four, but not under this manager. So yeah, I'm not quite sure why you're thinking that, because Man United are never getting top four on this manager. I think as it stands right now, with this manager, United would be lucky to finish in the top half. You get rid of this manager and you go to a 4-2-3-1 with the players available, and you get a manager that wants to play better players, one game a week, I'm looking at between top 6 and top 4 for United. It's that simple. So Shrijan says United have somehow shown negative progress in 6 months. Yeah, and that's due to Ruben Amorim. I don't want to hear about he hasn't got his players and that. That's due to Ruben Amorim. Because I'm sorry, there's no manager in Man United that should be coming into the club and having 7 wins in the league since you've arrived, having more games played than points. That is ridiculous. 1 open play goal, you know, at Old Trafford. Like, that is ridiculous, you know. So, as I said, man, I'm bored of talking about this manager now. You know, he's having showdown talks apparently, and there should be nothing else said but here's your P45, off you go, you know. Lumi says, I'd rather play Raya up top, LOL. Yeah. Can Newcastle finish top 5 again? I think, do you know what? I think top 5 is going to be very difficult. I think you have to say, for the business they've done so far, Liverpool, Man City, and obviously this ain't in any order, but Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle. I think it's safe to say that might be the top 5, but you never know. You know, there could be some upsets this season, but I think as it stands, those 5 teams should be and will be the front runners. But again, things can change. It can change. Right, guys, any more questions before we wrap up? We got 19 likes in there and there's 27 of you in there. Guys, come on, smash the like button, help the channel to grow, and make sure you sub to the channel as well. Let's try and at least hit 20 as a minimum. I want to try and reach 30, guys, from when we're on there. So 19 is not good enough. So again, if you're enjoying the content, smash the like button, and again, sub to the channel. So Lumi says, did you watch Liverpool versus Newcastle? Best game I've seen in ages. Yeah, of course I watched it. You know, Rio and Gamoha with the finish. Again, I've seen Rio do that, you know, from playing 5-a-side against him. He does that on a regular basis. You know, people that haven't really watched too much of him would have thought that was a difficult finish. But he does that regularly, you know. And again, the composure at 16 years of age, you know, in a high-pressure game, in front of the Newcastle fans, to show that composure, you know, is mad, really. But again, that finish that he produced, that wasn't a difficult finish for him. It wasn't. So Lumi says, Gav, I saw him go past you and score, LOL. Yeah, listen, but I'm not a defender. And again, that was one clip. When I've defended him in the past, you know, he don't really get past me as often, you know, because the way that I defend is quite... like, I know what I'm doing when I'm defending. I just can't bother to defend. That's the difference. But listen, Rio gets past anyone in 5-a-side because he's got that ability. You know, his quick feet, his change of direction, his intent, his change of pace. Like, he's hard to deal with, you know. And as I said, man, he's going to go far in the game. For me, he's going to be a future England international, no doubt. No doubt about that. Shrijan says, I want Maguire at Barcelona. We don't have defenders. Yeah, Shrijan, man, you've got Ronald Arroyo, Pau Kabasi. I think you've got, is Mikhail Faye still there? Let me know if Mikhail Faye still there, the Senegalese centre-back, left-footed. I think he's going to be good. I'm not sure if he's on loan or if he's gone I think Barca might have a buyback clause in him actually. But as I said, I think yeah, Ronald Arroyo, Koundé can play centre back as well. Pau Kabasi. Shridran says Araujo is good, but he can't play a high line. Yeah, he can. He can play a high line. I know he can play a high line. I've seen him play a high line. You know, he's got physicality and he's got pace, so he can play the high line. The problem with Ronald Arroyo is him staying fit. But he's for me, he's the closest. I would say, yeah, and people might disagree with this, but if he stays fit, for me, he's the closest player. Not in terms of ability on the ball, but he's the closest stature player to Virgil van Dijk, I would say, Ronald Arroyo. But he can't stay fit. Chris C says, when playing football, just play the space, same as defending. Defend the space so the striker cannot run into it or pass the ball there. Big up, Chris C. So Lumi says, how comes you're so lazy at defending but put so much into attacking? Do you know what? Do you want to know why, Lumi? Because I'm an attacker. That's why. I'm not a defender. So, again, yeah. I wouldn't say I love defending, put it that way. But when it comes to defending a wide player, you know, I kind of know how to defend a wide player because, again, with a wide player, they want you to commit. And if you commit, they've got you. So it's about jockeying them and showing them on their weak side. So, like, in five-a-side, the way that I defend attackers is that, you know, it's about knowing what foot they are. And you want to try and show them on the outside away from goal. Obviously, if you show them inside, you know, that's an opportunity at goal to cut inside and get a shot off. So I defend them by getting low, you know, and forcing them on the outside. And then what happens is that they go back to the keeper or back to the defender. So there's ways of doing it, you know, but my kind of enthusiasm for defending has never really been there. You know, because obviously I'm an attacker, so yeah, that's what it is. Big up to Zishan says, do you think Barca is going to be in a Champions League final? So last season, I said Barcelona, they were my pick to win the Champions League. I thought it was going to be a Barca PSG final. Barca messed it up because against Inter Milan, there was no way Barca should not have gone through in that game. And Barca gave it away, you know. They were careless in terms of the finishing. And the way that they were defending was just poor. So, but again, Lamine Yamal, 1 year older. You know, Rafinha, if he can carry on his form. Pedri, there's no point talking about Pedri because we know what a top player he is. You know, I think the fact that Barca haven't really made reinforcements. I know they've brought in Rooney Bargagi, who's a backup to Lamine Yamal. Marcus Rashford as well. You know, I do expect them to at least get into the quarterfinals, semi-finals. But again, they haven't really strengthened from last season in a way, in my opinion. But again, they're going to have some younger players coming back that will add to the squad. Who knows, man? Who knows? Big up to Oliver Studios. Guys, come on, smash the like button and sub to the channel. So when you're coming through, smash the like button. Just one press of the button. Help the channel to grow. And sub to the channel as well. Breck says, bro, do you think Grimsby will win the Carabao Cup? No. That's easy. No, they're not. So do I think Grimsby will win the Carabao Cup? Hell no, man. Hell no. I just think they beat Man United. The thing is, Man United, like, they should have won that game. Like, I'm not going to hear anyone tell me that they can't beat Grimsby. They should have beaten Grimsby. The reason they didn't beat Grimsby is because this manager chose to play 5 at the back. You know? And that's what I'm trying to say to you. Like, people can come and say, you know, it's the players this, the players that. You know? You set the team up in the right way and not play this stupid formation. You know? They dispatch of Grimsby. They do. But, again, this is Man United for you at the moment. Oliver says, what do you think of Rashford as a signing? I think in terms of what Rashford can give them in that league, as we know, Rashford's got the physicality. He's got the pace, basically. I wouldn't say he's got the physicality. He's not someone that's overly strong, but he's got the pace in that league. And in that league, with their high lines and that, you know, he'll do well in terms of that. But I think it's a signing that, you know, they just wanted for the short term. Really, they're not. For me, I don't see Barcelona turning his move into a permanent. You know, I think it's more of a signing where they'll be looking at him to help them in terms of, you know, the league and what he can offer. But I don't think they're going to take on his wages and pay the money to get him, in my opinion. So, but I think he'll be a decent signing for them. I do think that, but I don't think they sign him on a permanent. Big up to Keegan Pillay. Big up. Keegan says, who do you support? Manchester United. I support. As Zedger's already said. So Keegan says, who's your favourite player? Do you know what? I get asked this a lot of times. And for me, I can never say who my favourite player is because it's difficult. I've got more than one favourite player. So my three favourite players are Messi, R9, which is the real Ronaldo, and Ronaldinho. They're my three favourite players. And then you've got players like Neymar, Pogba, Hazard, Martial, Iniesta. Paulo Dybala is one of my favourites as well. Who else is there? Pedri, Lamine Yamal. Like, there's loads. I can never really pick one player. Adriano, if anyone remembers Adriano the Emperor from Inter Milan. There's loads of players, man. I can never pick one player because it's unfair to leave a player out, you know. Oliver Studio says, then who do you think is a good permanent replacement for Lewandowski? And great question, Oliver. And the problem with this, Oliver, is that the striker market is so low at the moment. Yeah, this is why it's difficult to answer this question, because if you look at the world-class strikers, you would say, that are over the age of 30 that are still playing in Europe, you've only got Lewandowski and Harry Kane. They're the only two. Then if you look at the next batch of strikers, you've got Erling Haaland, who you're not getting out of Man City, Isak, who wants to go to Liverpool, and then you're struggling because you got the likes of Osimhen, who's at Galatasaray. These guys are not world-class, by the way. Gyökeres, who's not world-class at Arsenal. The one that I was looking at to be an eventual replacement for Lewandowski was John Duran. And that's because, you know, John Duran's South American. He's young, you know, but again, from what we're hearing, there's issues with his attitude, apparently, and stuff like that. So, again, to say who's going to replace Lewandowski, this is why they brought in Vitor Roque from Brazil, but Roque wasn't good enough. So to say who's going to replace Lewandowski is difficult to say because the striker market isn't there. And the reason for that is because if you look at a lot of players that are coming through now, a lot of the players that are coming through now are not really strikers. They're like inside left or inside right players. Because you look at the idols of like the Neymars of this world, the Lamine Yamals, the Eden Hazards, you know, all these players now are more inside left, Mbappe's. They're more inside left or inside right players. So the striker market is dead, really. So it's quite hard to say who is. I look at what Barca need as a striker right now. The ideal replacement for Barcelona is Alexander Isak. He's the ideal one because he's played in Spain before. He's at the right age, you know. But again, he wants to go to Liverpool. So he's probably the only striker I look at right now that could go into Barcelona. Again, there's other strikers around the world that can suit Barca's system. You know, I think Joshua Zirkzee can go and play for Barcelona. I think he can as their number 9, you know, and offer them something different. But yeah, the striker market's dead, man. So it's difficult to answer that. Big up to Barbara Joseph says, Garnacho's finally gone, Gav. Yep, thank God for that. Good riddance as well. I couldn't be any happier, I'll be honest. Daniela says, who are Man United up against in the next game, Gav? So they've got Burnley, I believe, on Sunday. Yeah, they've got Burnley. So Lumi Rain says, who's your favourite Arsenal player? My favourite Arsenal player, Lumi, is Dennis Bergkamp. Yeah, Dennis Bergkamp. Bergkamp or Henry, I would say, yeah. I like Perez as well. Jose Antonio Reyes, another one. Big up. R.I.P. So Breck says, do you think Gyökeres will win the Golden Boot? Easy question. No. No, he won't. He won't win Golden Boot. No, he won't. So Sridjan says Lautaro will place Lewandowski. I disagree with that, Sridjan, and I'll tell you why I disagree with that, yeah? Even though he does fit the criteria of, obviously, through the years, you know, that Barca do like to sign South American strikers. The problem that they won't, the reason why they won't sign Lautaro Martinez is because, how old is Martinez? I think Martinez might be, I think he might be near 30 now. You know, and again, if Barca sign a striker to replace Lewandowski, you'd think they'll want to sign someone that's mid-20s. I think Lautaro might be hitting 30s now. And again, getting him out of Inter Milan won't be easy. He's their captain, you know, so getting him out will be difficult. So Oliver says, I see Lautaro or Alvarez. You know what? Julian Alvarez is a good one. He's a good one. But again, getting him out of Atletico Madrid now will be difficult. You know, I think they'll be looking at 100 mil to get him out of there, which I don't see them paying. But he's a good one. But again, you can see the struggle we're having because the striker market just ain't there. And this is the problem. Right, guys, I'm going to go through a few more of your questions and then we're going to wrap up. But big up yourselves for coming through. So Chris C says, when you have a team that can read the space, you can start with a 4-4-2, but the players will be moving to different positions constantly, which creates confusion and is hard to play against. Yeah, I agree, Chris. I agree. But again, I don't really want to see United go back to a 4-4-2. 4-2-3-1 for me is what needs to be played because you've got players that can suit that system. You know, you look at the back four. You can have Mazraoui when he's back fit. Him and Dalot, if you want to keep Dalot as the two right backs. And Dalot will actually be better in the four at the back as well. You think of the left backs, you've got Patrick Dorgu, who's actually a left back. And then Aiden Heaven can play there, but is a left-sided centre-back as well. Again, you've got Yoro Delict at the back there. Midfield, you can play Casemiro and Kobe as a midfield two because that position now becomes a bit different with the 4-2-3-1. You know, Ahmad in the 10, he's actually a number 10. Mbeumo on the right, Cunha on the left, and then Joshua Zirkzee is a striker. And then you got Zirkzee on the bench. I mean, you got Sesko on the bench. That can obviously come in for Zirkzee if need be. Again, there's different combinations there. But the 4-2-3-1 is what I want to see, or the 4-3-3. You know, Man United right now are playing a 3-4-2-1. A lot of fans actually think United are playing a 3-4-3. And again, they're not playing a 3-4-3. I don't know why people think they're playing a 3-4-3. And I tell you why they're playing a 3-4-2-1 is because they're playing with two number 10s. Again, when you're playing with number 10s, the system's not 3-4-3. It's a 3-4-2-1. If you're playing a 4-3-3, you know, you're going to have wingers or you're going to have inside forwards and a false 9 or an out-and-out goal scorer as a number 9. So this system is not a 3-4-3 that Man United are playing. They're playing a 3-4-2-1 because there's two number 10s there. And again, the reason why this manager is dumb, really, is because he's playing Brian Mbeumo as a 10. Brian Mbeumo's never played as a 10 and isn't a 10. Brian Mbeumo's a winger. This is the problem. You're playing Brian Mbeumo as a right 10 when he's actually a winger. Again, a lot of these things might go over fans' heads, but because they might look at it and think, oh, wait a minute, Embuemo's actually playing. Embuemo's playing. He's playing from the right, but the system is meaning that he's playing as a 10 because the team has wing backs. If you're playing with wing backs in your system, you're no longer a winger because the wing backs are the wingers. You know, if you got a wing back system, you automatically become a 10. Again, these things go over fans' heads, but yeah, apologies, guys. When I'm seeing fans think that United are playing a 3-4-3, they're not playing a 3-4-3. They're playing a 3-4-2-1 because it's got wing backs in it. You know, if you play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, you know, you've got 1-10, which is the number 10 behind the striker. If you're playing a 4-3-3, there ain't a number 10. Because obviously the three midfielders, you're gonna have one that's slightly deeper, that might be a CDM, or you might and you're gonna have two box-to-box midfielders, or you could have an advanced playmaker or a deep line playmaker. You know what I mean? So these are the kind of things that people are not understanding. But Man United not playing a 3-4-3, they're playing a 3-4-2-1. You know? So Oliver says, do you think Guardiola should stay at City? You know what? This could be Guardiola's last season. It could be. I think if he wins the title, then I think it's his last season, definitely. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But I definitely do think that City will have his replacement in mind. Whoever that's going to be, who knows? But they definitely do have his replacement ahead because City, obviously, they do their due diligence, as we know, and get players in to come or get managers in to come and overtake the players that are going, and the same with the players. So you have to think that's in the pipeline, definitely. But guys, listen up. I'm going to wrap up anyway. Big up yourselves for coming through. Much appreciated. As always, make sure you smash the like button if you haven't done so already. And again, if you're new in here, guys, make sure you sub to the channel and big up your support onto the channel as well. What's today? Friday. Not sure if I'm going to go live, guys, later tonight. I'm not too sure yet. Again, if anything drops, whether it's the manager or whether it's any news from a Baleba, let's say, then I probably might go live. But at the moment, I'm not going to. I'll be back, obviously, as always, in the morning at 11:30 again. So, yeah, make sure you guys are coming through and you're supporting the channel. There's 39 of you guys in there and 21 likes. Again, make sure you smash the like button on your way out and make sure you sub to the channel as well. And again, yeah, keep an eye out, guys, for on my schedule to see when I go live next. Make sure your notifications are on as well. And I've got a couple of things coming up. You know, obviously got Exedra, obviously one of my mods. We're gonna do a stream on Tuesday, so we're gonna sort that out. Hopefully by that time there'll be some signings made, whether it's Baleba, and hopefully this manager's gone as well. So yeah, we'll be doing that. Obviously I'm live obviously on Mondays as well with Jonas, who's a Liverpool fan. So so yeah, Monday and Tuesday will definitely be live then. And guys, on Sunday I'll possibly will be doing a live fitness workout. So obviously I do some pad work, some boxing pad work. So I'm going to be doing that with one of my guys on Sunday. So yeah, make sure you guys keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, I'll be doing a live stream for that one for about 30 minutes or so. So yeah, but yeah, I'll let you guys know what's happening on that front anyway. But as I said, big up yourselves each and every time, and I'll catch you guys in a bit.